All right, I called the regular July 23rd Lewes BPW meeting to order. Can we have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Thank you. So, Barbara Curtis is present. Preston Lee is excused. Richard Nichols, Bob Heffernan. Amy. Mayor Amy's here. Robin Davis, Sharon Sexton, and Mike Hoffman are legal.
And Kim.
What's it?
Kim.
Oh, yeah, we should actually
Yeah.
put her on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm not required to be here.
Yeah, not
That's
required.
why.
So, finance manager's here. As a matter of fact, we're gonna move her section up to earlier in the meeting. So, we started this last month, and we're changing the agenda so that we're gonna do a call to the public at the beginning of the meeting, so everyone does not have to sit around if they're talking about, they wanna bring up an item that is not on the agenda. And then we'll do a call to the public at the end for anyone who wants to speak, either about the agenda or other items. Note that the board will not respond directly to public comments. We're here to listen. We may have a public discussion after the public session, the discussion ends. And I may ask staff to respond. Okay, so first item on the agenda is the Inframark report.
Nope.
You missed a consent agenda.
Yep.
Oh. Okay. The consent agenda, and we're going to pull the treasurer's report out of this, so discuss that.
Nope. That's a separate report.
We're good.
Yep.
That should all stay in. Because finance manager's number 8, that's where the combined
okay,
13 will be.
You want it in there, okay.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
yep, that's fine, yep.
Keep me on the straight. So, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Can we have discussion? Sure. I would like to thank the BPW for, in a couple places, putting in the address of the contact list. I know it's an extra step and it's not done in all, but it's helpful because in the future we can do searches on addresses to see if there are repeat issues occurring.
Okay, so noted. Now,
Need a vote?
call to the public.
Need a vote? Need a vote?
Oh, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So it's 4-1 abstention, or not abstention, absent. Okay. Now, Jeff, you're up.
Nope.
Call to the
Oh,
public.
that's Rose. Okay.
Should we try over again?
I think he's got it.
Call to the public. So anyone have anything they'd like to bring up that's not on the agenda?
Or on the agenda. It's
Or on the agenda? but-
this is the opportunity for public comment.
Public comments?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yes.
Can I submit a document for everybody? Is that okay?
Yep.
No. Who should I give them to?
speak?
Yes, but identify
Okay, Nick
yourself.
Carter, 1510 Lewis Beach. This is about the Lewis Beach advisory for the fecal bacteria, and my concerns over the past 25 years are kind of spelled out in this document. There's 3 different portions to it. I don't need to go into great detail, but if anybody has any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? All right.
And Tom, this is, and I know you had mentioned it, but just because it is a new policy, just to clarify for members of the public. So the way that the board is handling public comment going forward, instead of waiting to the end for public comment, you have an opportunity to speak at the beginning of the meeting. And you can speak whether there's an item on the agenda or not. The only thing to keep in mind is that there will not be another opportunity for public comment until the end of the meeting. So there won't be public comment item by item. So you can speak now if there's an item on the agenda and you want to offer public comment, or you can speak at the end of the meeting. Just to clarify, if anybody wanted, if that changed anybody's mind, speak.
I just have 2 housekeeping. I think the door's locked.
No, it's unlocked.
It is unlocked, and we can't hear most of you. I can hear you, but the rest, did the mics work?
You can't hear me?
It's hard to hear what you were saying. I didn't hear anything that you said or the lady next to you said. You voted on something, but
Oh, Josh?
difficult to hear.
So it's not going through the house speakers, and that might be what she's talking about, because we're not using their equipment.
So where's it coming from?
We are recording everything, and it will be posted tomorrow.
But
You'll
is-
just have to speak up.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
I-
just,
So, there was a hack of the city servers, and we have a minor on our side, but we are keeping the BPW systems separate from the city systems. So this meeting is not being Zoomed, it's being recorded and will be available to listen to. And as you just found out, we're gonna have to project during the meeting and not rely on the mics.
well, the mics are picking it up, and you're crystal clear. It's just they're not going through the speakers in the house.
But for folks here.
But yeah, but the people, yeah,
apologize that you.
Well, no, I'm thinking, I guess I could turn, I wondered why the mics were sticking up in the air because we needed to hear you and we couldn't hear you back here. So
yeah,
anyway, we
okay,
did have a
so,
really great report.
Nobody has ever told me that I can't project. So.
the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. And it's good you didn't catch all of my screw-ups at the beginning of the meeting. All right, so, Jeff? Infomark's report.
Good afternoon. So, for our report this month, we'll start with the project list. We don't have many updates on the projects going on. Robin and I have some discussions coming up with the Neo Water for the chemical trial. I believe that's Friday morning. We're going to be having that discussion. The rep is coming down, answer all of our questions. We have informed DEMEC that we may be going forward with the trial, so they are aware of that, but we're going to have any questions answered before we move forward with anything on that. The chemical tank replacement is being double checked. I did receive a new quote, Robin. I don't think I've sent that to you. I just got that for if we were to do the demo ourselves. So we have that quote in. And we can discuss that also. The pump station 17, the assessment has come back from Teal, but we have not had time to go over that, Robin, Ben, and I, to discuss that. And the Train 4 slide gate, I'm still waiting on those seals. I contacted them last week. They said that they have shipped. We just haven't received them yet.
How long will it take you to put them in?
Once we have them in, I'm hoping 2 days. a day to prep, get the levels down, and then to turn we're gonna have to turn the county off for 1 day just to reduce flows, and then we'll have to have a temporary shutdown so that we can get down inside the channel and replace the seal. So that's a day to prep and then a day to complete.
And then that train will be clean.
Then that train will be, once the seal is complete, we'll immediately go into a recovery clean. As far as train 4 goes, we did have an issue with the train 4 pump. We had a cascade of issues. So the VFD failed. We replaced the VFD. The flow meter went wonky. We replaced the flow meter, and then the pump locked up. We replaced the pump. That pump had issues, and we had to replace it a second time. The pump has now come back. We're also going to have a meeting with our Hills and Pump Repair Company and have a conversation with the president, because the issue was the pump came back and it still wasn't operational. So the president's going to come out and he's going to have a sit down with Robin and I and explain what happened, what they're doing to make sure it doesn't happen in the future, and explain to us why that was the situation.
Do they do a run test on the pumps when they're rebuilt?
They tested the pump and they said that the pump was spinning. However, when we got the pump on site, we had to put a pipe wrench and a cheater bar on to even turn the shaft. So once we tried to hook it to the motor wouldn't even spin the pump. So we sent it back and the tolerances were checked. I had a slight discussion with them, but they're going to come out and give us a full explanation and apologize and work moving forward. So
They
we do
should.
not take our business elsewhere.
That'd be very interesting to hear what their
Yeah, that ought to be for late night television.
So yeah, so train 4 is back online, and actually, if you look at the Viola report, they've noted that it's back online and it's actually running better than before. Kim did contact me about increased water usage at the plant. We believe that that's coming from the screens and the compactor. So the compactor now being online can run up to 45 gallons a minute when it's operating, and the screens being more efficient, we're catching more solids, but that means that the sprayers are working more frequently. We got the reuse pump back up and in operation. We ran it for a day, thought it was doing okay. The problem is the system is so old that we're getting rust in the sprayer heads, which is causing them to clog and the screens to blind over. So we ran it for a day, and then we had issues with high levels. We had to go out there and pressure wash the screens, pull all the sprayer nozzles out, and clear them of rust and debris that's collected in the system.
So the 45 gallons a minute, is that the design flow?
Yes, it's up to 45 gallons a minute is what the compactor could use to wash down and push all the solids into the compactor.
And if you average that over a day,
it's not insignificant, but the compactor only runs about every half hour for it depends on the run time. So it could be 30 seconds, it could be a minute and a half. But when you calculate it over the course of the month, plus the increased sprayer usage in the screens themselves, it's adding up to enough that Kim noticed it.
sharp eyes.
We did lose one operator, so we're one short right now. We're looking to replace him, and we have several applicants to interview. We also
This wasn't your master electrician, was
no.
it?
He's still very happy and with us. He's fine. And we had to pull the secondary RAS pump from ditch 1, and that was sent out for repair. So that's been replaced and sent out, and we're waiting for the quote back for that. Call outs last month. The only issues, we had one train shut down that just had to be restarted, and then the only other call outs were due to the power outage on the 23rd and 24th.
It wasn't you this time.
We did install.
I didn't mean that the way it sounded.
We did install a new pump in the old EQ tank, a rebuilt pump back into the old EQ tank, as well as a rebuilt pump into the dump pit pump station.
What is the dump pit pump
So where the drying beds and the dump pit go to, there's a small pump station next to the equipment storage building that pumps over to the old EQ wet well that then goes back to the head building. So when we were using the drying beds or when we dump off the vac truck after cleaning out pump stations, that goes to that pump station that then gets sent back to the headworks.
Thank you.
And we also had to replace both check valves at pump station 32, which is Canary Creek. We are going to have to do the same thing. We haven't yet, but we're going to have to do the same thing at pump station 33, which is the DEMEC station.
Is that? When they fail, what happens?
They just free spin. So they basically are breaking loose, and then the swing arms are free spinning. We can't, and then we have at pump station 33, the flat valves have disintegrated, so when pump 1 kicks on, it will just pump back into pump 2, back into the wet well, so both pumps have to kick on in order to actually pump out of the wet well.
What happens when you put redundancy in?
Other than that, as I said with the Violi report, they noted that all the trains are performing excellent. Train 4 is back online and running better than it was. And that's pretty much all I have.
Jeff, I had a question about the blown fuses for the Kubota.
Yes.
Was that because of the power outage, or do we know why the fuses blew?
We don't know why. I don't believe it was a power outage, but it could have been. So we had the fuse blow. We tracked it down. We replaced it. It blew one more time. And we replaced it again, but it's been running since. So I believe it's coming. I believe it was from the actuating valve. Now, it could have been from the power outage if we had a shutdown and that actuating valve blocked and blew the fuse, but we're not 100% sure what caused it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
No,
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Just, I keep looking at this, spare pumps are not in stock on these.
Yes.
We making any progress on that? I mean, I think you've ordered a couple of pumps and.
So I have quotes for some of the pumps. And we've
Gonna clue us in?
I have gotten the quotes in. So the issue is all of those pumps are outside of my approval range. Yeah. So that would have to be a decision made by the board or by Robin and Sharon. I can't order them without authorization.
Well, I appreciate that. But how much money are we talking about? I mean, or are there, I know there's some pump stations you're thinking about, I mean, 4 and 8 might get some serious engineering, so maybe not there. But where else does it make sense to get some of those pumps ordered that are planned to be around here for a while and have a backup?
During the initial conversations, and this started back when Austin was still here.
Yes.
There's been maybe some talk about us, Jeff, Inframark, GMB getting together, because there may be some options to maybe, instead of buying all brand new pumps as spares to set there, because the concern is if you have spare pumps that you never use over 3 or 4 years, the warranty runs out. Then you're out of warranty on those items that are just sitting on the shelf. Or could you just buy a pump that possibly you could buy an impeller for that you could use in multiple instances? So we're having these discussions about that. So
now we did also, Robin and I had discussed briefly potentially getting a smaller bypass pump and putting in bypass connections for all these pump stations. So, I mean, obviously the 6-inch bypass that we currently have is going to be too big for many of these, but we could have a smaller option that would be a universal pump. If it went down at any of these pump stations, we would have one pump on site that could be taken out, hooked up at the bypass, and run the station until we have a pump back in place.
that would mean
I
modifying.
kind of understand the piping stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know when you're going to address it, because I've been looking at that item for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it's still a
there's-
yellow, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of items on there you've probably been looking at for a long time. Me being here 3 years, some of them have been on here for 3 years. I mean, that's not an excuse. I'm not trying to. It's just we're trying to work through one thing at a time. We're trying to get all these things addressed. There's multiple things that need to be addressed and needed to be addressed. It's just unfortunate we can't do them all at one time.
So the bypass pump, as I remember the conversation, we also would need to modify the piping at the stations to be able to have an inlet and outlet flange.
Yes, so we'd have to have a bypass connection at the stations.
So it's more than just
it's
buying.
more than just buying the pump, yes. And then the other complication is we'd have to have, and I'd have to get with Ben and GMB and say, okay, can this one pump maintain? Is it going to be too much for these stations? Not enough for these stations? Can one pump manage the flow on all 10 of these? Or is it going to be overdone? Is it going to be undersized? What do we have to do to fix that? So it's not just as simple as, hey, let's just pull the trigger and buy this pump.
And, you know, and this is also not an excuse, but we've got a lot on our plate with the wastewater treatment plant and some of the other items going on right now. So some of these items need to be put on our, higher priority list for down the road, because we can't, there's so many things I would like to see done, but we can't overload the staff anymore.
One question I had is the pump station control panels. How many of those that are in need of repair or replacement are on the list of 16 that we're going to be addressing under the resiliency study?
Several of those.
Several?
That's why we haven't moved forward with that, because some of those may be getting replaced with the resiliency study.
All right, well, why don't you take this list and make a list and say, will be addressed by the resiliency study, won't be, still a problem.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
And, if you went out and bought all those pumps, are we talking a lot of money or not much money? I mean,
I believe the quotes that we've received are the low end. We're probably looking at about $9,000, and the upper end is in 15 for those particular pumps.
For each pump. Yeah.
For each pump.
Yeah.
yeah, so $100,000 for the top line there.
Well,
if you replace them
except
all.
I don't think the $9,000 is the top limit. There are pumps that are obsolete.
No,
That you
so
can't-
the pump stations that we have the quotes on currently are actually the one lift stations that have been installed in the last 5 years. So that would be 34, 35, 36, and 37.
Okay, well, why don't you add up the quotes you have for next month and tell us what that is.
Okay.
Because some of these other ones, I think the problem is the pumps are obsolete, and the new pumps don't fit in them, or you have to change the guide rails and such.
Yes, so the best example of that would be 17, but obviously we're looking at other options for that particular station.
Right. So I just don't want anyone to get that $9,000 is the upper limit.
No, I'm just,
No, I think it's a
trying to
valid,
understand if it's bigger than a bread box, and it didn't sound like it was.
Anything else?
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, my president's report. So we meet monthly with the city for a leadership meeting. That includes Amy, Ellen Lorraine, and Janet, and Robin, and Sharon, and myself. We had that meeting. I attended Mayor and City Council. We had University of Delaware in for the kickoff meeting last week, and this is over them doing topological surveys for groundwater and stormwater runoff. And it's going to be about a 12 to 18 month process. and we're doing a walk down the end of the month. We're doing a walk down with them. They're coming back down sometime in August. Can't remember the date. And I really think it's going to benefit us a lot because they have a lot of capabilities in the modeling area, and hopefully that will be helpful. And I should add, they met with the city that morning, and they met with us for 2.5 hours in the afternoon. So it's going to be a joint effort because the city is responsible for roads and ditches. We're responsible for what's in our charter, underground infrastructure. So, but we're going to work together on that. And is there anything you wanted to add?
Did you just mention the September 5th workshop?
Oh, and yeah, that's correct. So they're going to set up a September 5th workshop to get the public's input and explain their modeling techniques. And that will be at the Rollins Center.
I think they're gonna go to the library. Have they decided yet? I haven't seen that
They
final
told us the Rollins Center, but that might change.
I think it's the library now. I think it's 9 to noon at the library.
Well, we'll have one
But it
more
will get
meeting.
announced, right.
Oh, and I just saw as I pulled it up, Savannah Beach Swimming Advisory is lifted as of 4 p.m.
Oh, good news. And Tom, that's also nature-based solutions?
Yes.
Okay, so
So-
for those, I just thought that's a lot of their emphasis as well.
Yeah, so it's rain gardens, tree plantings, swales, all of those type of things. It's not engineering, or it's not hard engineering applications. And September 5th. Yeah, and I have it still at the Rollins Center, but we have time to get that out to the public. And so then, I should touch base on the power outage we had. So we had 4 power outages on the 24th and 25th, 23rd and 24th. We had Potomac, who's our testing company, in, and they made a preliminary definition or scope of it was a relay that failed. It had nothing to do with the heat, because if you remember, that was one of the hottest days. It was coincidental, but the relay had just failed from old age, and so they bypassed the relay, and we've got 3 relays on order. One to replace the failed one to replace the other one in the other transformer, and then a third for a spare. So we apologize to the public for all the inconveniences that this has caused, and want to reassure them that we do have extremely reliable electric power, as by our awards from DEMEC and APPA. But that doesn't mean that this was acceptable. The other part of that outage was the call center. And Sharon and Josh are working with the call center because that part of it was inexcusable. And we're working on how to prevent calls from ever being disconnected in the future. So next month we should have a better feel on what the solution to that is. But all of BPW feels bad for what happened, and we will get to the root cause of it. I will tell you, I was out there for 3 of the 4 outages, including the one from 9 to 1 in the morning. So, Robin was out there. We did muster everyone we could. And I think you probably received a notice about appliance pickup this is for refrigerators, air conditioners, dehumidifiers. And so you'll get $100 back for any appliance that's in working order through this program. So, and the date is September 30th?
It's in September. I don't remember the exact date. But in addition to the appliance recycling, it's through Efficiency Smart, which we are members of. There are also other great rebates on there. If you've got a new efficient air conditioner, there's a rebate, a new washer or dryer. So there's all kinds of things. So don't just look at the recycling bit. I mean, that's great that they come and pick it up, but there's other ways to make some extra cash too.
Yeah. And the appliances have to be LEED certified.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the last item I have is the BPW's Sussex County agreement on the wastewater treatment plant. And I can cover it here, this way I don't have to cover it later on in the agenda. Basically, we've been talking with the county extensively for the last 2 weeks to try to hammer out the last details. And as I think everyone can expect, you know, the last 5% is 95% of the work. But I personally feel good about where we're going. The county is fully committed to this, but I kept saying we would have a workshop in the middle of July. That's not going to happen. We need to have an agreement that we can put out to the public before we do a workshop. So hopefully we'll do it in August, but this is something that is a long-term big commitment for BPW, and we're not going to rush this through. And so the timeline will be what the process dictates. And that was it. Robin?
All right, couple items that I have that Tom didn't touch upon. Attended the city council meeting, the most recent city council meeting. We also had a Mitchell's Corner progress meeting, which is normal monthly meeting to talk about the status of construction work out there at Mitchell's Corner, which is out there across from the high school. As Tom said, we had continued discussions with the county on the long-range plan for the wastewater plant. We have our monthly meeting with the Burton Subdivision Task Force to discuss the 4th Street Park Avenue projects. Attended the Lewes Planning Commission meeting. Sharon and I met with Ben to discuss the status of our ongoing projects. We would like to probably try to do that on a monthly basis, so we can just kind of keep tabs on the projects and how and his update on the status. Sharon, Ben, and I also met with Zach Crouch and to discuss the sewer options for the Kennedy property on Gills Neck Road. And we are working on the CPCN documents for water service for a property on New Road. It's a property outside the city that would like to get water and sewer service from the city instead of putting in a well and septic out there next to the canal. As far as some projects, the canal crossing project and the Wellfield header project, they're basically complete. We have done a walkthrough inspection. The contractor for both of those projects are working on the punch list items, and then we'll follow back up with that and hopefully be able to close those projects out. The new elevated storage tank, they're continuing to work on the foundation and the underground piping. Like I've said in the past, they are basically curtailing any summer work because of their staff they brought in. They have to bring them in and house them, and with the traffic and things like that, it's just easier. But they are doing some fabrication work at the plants and continuing on. So hopefully in the fall we'll start seeing more site work start back up.
And we have a progress meeting next Friday.
Yes. Yep. Our monthly progress meeting. Yep. As far as a couple of our bigger combined projects with the city is the 4th Street Park Avenue project and the Hornkill project. Both are streets, water, sewer, stormwater projects. They're moving along. GMB still in concept design phase. Hopefully we'll continue moving on forward with that, and so far as I know, we're still on schedule for the completion dates as we noted before. On those projects, just if you want some general information, all that information on these projects can be found on our website. If you go to our homepage, you can locate them under the projects tabs, and we'll continue to move forward with updates as needed. Basically, I think that's all I've got.
Robin, question about the availability of funding for the lead service line replacement. Any progress on that?
Missed that one? Yes, thank you. Sharon and I and Ben met virtually with DHSS to discuss the possible funding for lead service line projects. So it looks like there's a good opportunity to do that. We had something in our capital projects. The Pilot Point project has been on our capital projects because they are known lead service lines out there. The funding also could be available to help us inventory our unknown service lines that we have identified as unknown. So there is an opportunity, and I think that's the 15th.
August 15th, we have to submit.
We have to submit the NOI.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Robin? Now, Ms. Kim.
I have quite the packet for you this month. And would it be okay if I went right into budgetary after I present the actuals?
Sure.
So it would be number 13.
And Tom, do you want to entertain a motion to move 13 up with the finance manager's report?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Do you have a motion to move general discussion on capital and O&M budget, item 13, up to the finance manager's report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so for June revenue and expenses, overall we are overperforming compared to budget. There are a couple things that I have noted on here that I wanted to point out for you. Line 3, industrial. The high school usage continues to be escalated. They did find a leak in the mechanical room, but if you've seen the Cape Gazette, you know that they're continuing to have issues at the high school. Line 5 for BPW, the wastewater treatment plant water usage is still high, which Jeff spoke about. Line 12, repairs and maintenance. The demolition of the old water tower is the wooden tank that was in the Schley complex right by the pedestrian walkway. It's not the big one.
Just to correct, it's a water tank.
Yes.
Yep.
It's not the water tower.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for wastewater, that $64,000, $62,000 of it was chemicals and pumping. So both of those were a little high this month. Line 27, our change in market value, we had an $83,000 gain for our investments.
So on the wastewater treatment, they've already left. I was gonna say, are we confident now that it's strictly what Jeff described as the wash water?
That would be a question for him.
I know. All right.
Well, you'll know next month.
It could possibly be 2 months if they're gonna do any repairs.
Okay, but
Yeah.
electric is down, revenue's down $80,000 your first quarter. Is that likely to continue? Do we know? Have any idea?
For the budget, there is an adjustment for that lower usage, and the PCA is lower than I budgeted. So the customers are paying lower rates than what I budgeted.
Okay,
and
and
they're
it's
using a little
down
less
from
electric.
last year also. I mean,
Yep.
which is surprising.
Yeah, but if you think about what the weather was then, that was just before the heat wave. So I would expect that the next quarterly numbers are gonna be up. I mean, cause
Could
the
be.
average daily temperature is up a degree and a half.
So second quarter is historically always our highest.
I would
usage.
expect that, but, but, you know, this year was still $80,000 lower than last year. I know you look at budget, I look at last year.
Yep.
And other than that, throughout, I think you show pretty good expense control.
Yeah, I noticed that for the quarter, total income has decreased 76,000 or 6.7%.
Okay, yep, the total income. Yes, compared to last year. And that's partially coming from impact fees, that it was very heavy in the beginning of last year, and we expect it to be very heavy at the end of this year. And then also the electric revenue.
Okay, so you have an adjustment to the whole year forecast here.
So for the next report of actuals is quarter one and year to date. That is going to be the same financial information, it's just presented a little bit differently. So I'm gonna look at the year to date. And it's the same story that our bottom line, we're overperforming than what was budgeted. And some notes that were not in the monthly that I didn't go over. Line 4 for municipal, water and irrigation usage at Zwinendale Park and the Canal Front Park have been up so far this year compared to last year. Line 14, other supplies and expenses. For water, we had the stone driveway at the well field, the ERT mounts for the pits, and the containers for the hazardous waste. And then thanks to June's positive market value change, it's actually having a positive effect on our non-operating revenues.
Have you talked with the city about
I have not.
because you may want to check your irrigation systems, because once again, that was the cooler period.
Yeah.
So,
The containers for hazardous waste, was that from the hazardous waste take back?
Yes.
And if you look at the fact that we skipped one of those collection, biannual collection cycles, does it even out?
That is a great question that I can give you that answer.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no, because this past year, we did not have the space where we normally store in our warehouse, and we had to order containers. So that's probably the cost difference.
Yes, thank you.
And cash graphs should be next. We have been able to deposit $2.65 million into our investments over this past 12 months. And that has been the result of doing the draws on the state loans and not having to pay that debt until the project is being completed.
The fees are for UBS and the banks,
Yes,
both together?
just UBS for
Just
our
UBS.
investment. And then you have an updated quarterly cash reserve. And this reflects the budget adjustments that I am suggesting And the bottom line, we have about $860,000 surplus, but we are starting to use the ARPA money for the water tower. Which will be coming from this account.
Any other questions for,
I'm going into budget,
okay?
which would be your tab 13.
No, I meant on this section. Was there any
Yeah.
other questions? Okay,
All right, for your quarter one adjustments, I highlighted all the items that I'm changing. And there's actually going to be another change of that highlight. We got an updated number with some reworking of Capes Cove. So the water would actually be about $621,000. And if you go into the sewer section for Capes Cove where it says $705,000, it would actually be about $798,000.
do you know what the cause of that is?
The reason for the increase in the water is because when it was initially funded, the design was for the water to go straight across from the Capes Cove development into Tower Hill. After some looking at it from GMB, decided that was not feasible, and then it was decided to basically run along New Road to possibly in the future to maybe be able to pick up some of the other developments, trade winds and things like that, and more consistent with what the direction of the sewer's going. So that calls for the increase in cost of design, pricing because of more piping and fittings.
A question about the saltwater monitoring wells. Is that meeting you had with UD, does that tie into that at all? No? So we still don't know where we're gonna put the Sentinel wells.
There's going to be one saltwater monitoring well going to be put in the fall at the Mitchell's Corner because that was one of the areas that was. The other two I think are required now.
So that number will probably go up.
Probably next year, yes. Yep.
But yeah, that UDEL was very interested on any Sentinel wells we had. There's the ones that the city owns. There's 2 monitoring wells by
On the library
the
property.
library.
Yeah. But they haven't been sampled to our knowledge. No. Only for depth, I understand.
And then there's a few more changes for wastewater treatment plant. The coding containment area, that was updated to the latest and greatest quote of $21,300. And the tank replacement, I did include that they did the demo. But as Jeff said, that they do have another quote of if we did our own demo, but I do not know that price. So this should be the most it's going to cost, is $46,000.
I'm sorry, what did you say about the coding? Did you change that number?
Yep. So it was 20,000.
Yeah.
It was just an estimate of 20,000, but now we actually have a hard quote. It's 21.3.
Okay, I was busy taking it out so I could read right side up.
Under stormwater, Ocean View Boulevard, that was discussed last meeting of the change that was needed. Under electric underground Pilot Town Village, that is the actual number. We had 190,000 in there. It came in 181,250. And in the state funding, I just have the Capes Cove highlighted. This was the original POs that we received. I wasn't going to change that until DHSS approved those changes for Capes Cove.
You submitted for the change though, right?
We are looking into that, yeah, yes. There's been conversations, GMB's had conversations with the state agencies about the funding, which can be addressed at the Capes Cove number 16.
So I just have that highlighted kind of as a reminder to myself that I'm gonna need to change that once that will get approved.
So what's the total changes? About,
You know, I don't know that number. So I will say Capes Cove was left out in the first approval, but that will be grant funding that we won't be paying that back. And the coating and tank replacement total was 40,000. Now it's 67,000. Ocean View Boulevard went up 35,000.
Yes.
And then undergrounding for Pilot Town went down 8750.
And something
So
went
not
up.
substantial,
Something went up $1,300.
Uh-huh. So not substantial, but we
Okay,
have latest
so
and greatest numbers. So.
60 or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any other questions for Kim on this sheet?
No, we got $48,000, $1 million worth of projects and $18,000 worth of plans to get paid.
Okay.
Can they approve both the adjustments at the same time? Or do separate? Okay.
They can do that. It's the will of the board.
Okay, so then for the O&M budget, most of the changes are coming in electric, as we have spoke earlier. The usage is lower, and the PCA is lower than I budgeted. So they're paying a lower rate than I had budgeted, plus they're not paying on as much. So that is proposed to change, as well as an increase to our other revenue for the Indian River credit that was issued to DEMEC. We did get a check for that.
Okay, but if you read over here at the far right, total revenue changes down 1.1%, and total operating expenses goes up $100,000 through the year. Okay, and some of that you've just explained.
Yes. So that was just revenues that I went over.
Yeah, no, but I was looking at operating expenses too. So is it fair to say this is a revision, probably more accurate, but not a revolution?
Yes. Based on the first quarter of what we've seen.
Yeah.
And we still have 3 quarters left.
So even Richard and I don't get upset. All right.
For your operating expenses, utility line. I have that changed. Actually, Barbara asked me about this, of what that actually means. So I'm gonna try to explain this. So when we bill BPW, we bill them based on the service they used. So this building will get electric, water, sewer, stormwater. But we want to actually show how much is each department using. So then we bill the revenue that way of the service, but we want to show the expense of what the division is using. Does that make sense?
Can you go
So-
one more time?
So the bill goes out. Say the electric warehouse on Schley, they get a $2,000 bill. So in our revenues, it's going to show the electric that they used, the water that they used, the sewer that they used, and the stormwater. That's how it's shown in revenue. But we want to change that revenue to show that all in electric because that's what the electric department is using.
And that's an accounting change you're making
Yes.
now?
Yes. So we have always had this template that you just put in the numbers. It closes to it. Well, I found that one of the electric buildings was being closed to sewer. So I made a small adjustment, but it was not large enough. So now I'm making that larger adjustment to the utilities for electric.
So when you say closed to sewer, that confused me. It means posted
Yes.
against the sewer
Yes.
department. And
Yes.
it should have been, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
For depreciation and amortization, for the work orders, I was using the percentage of our admin breakdown, which was flawed. I should have looked at every work order to look at the actual percentage of each job. So that is corrected. And then in lieu of franchise is reflected from the revenues. And non-operating revenues for interest income, we were able to transfer more money to the money market account, and the interest rates are staying higher than we projected as well, without any rate cuts. So that would be the electric changes. For water, we would be changing the operating revenue for Board of Public Works to reflect the wastewater treatment plant high usage. Line 12, repairs and maintenance, which we've kind of touched on this already for the demolition of the old water tank and the ERTs mounting, yep. And then the depreciation is the same explanation in lieu of franchise because we're making that small change in the revenue. For the wastewater, it's the same thing, depreciation, interest income, and then interest expense, line 23 is included. I only originally did one payment for the headworks, but we are making two. So that'll affect your interest getting paid. And then stormwater is depreciation and interest income for the same reasons explained earlier.
Okay, and net, your revenue goes down 1.1, and operating expenses could go up 0.5%, and operating income goes down 10.5, or about $360,000.
Yep.
Most of it shortfall in electricity. So your proposal is that that's our budget from now on, for this year?
Yes. And it gets reviewed quarterly and given to you.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion that we accept these modifications as presented by Kim, unless somebody else is fascinated by small print.
Second.
And just one clarification, your motion is for both the O&M budget and for the capital budget?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Kim, and thank you for driving back down. Okay, then we're moving on to invitations. Formal invitation to DEMEC's annual Joint Council Dinner. Scott.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the time this evening. My name is Scott Lynch. I'm the Vice President of Asset Development for the Delaware Municipal Electric Corporation. And the reason why I'm here today is, as was mentioned, is that we're hosting our annual dinner at Bally's in Dover on Wednesday, September 17th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And as I mentioned before, when I made the invitation for our joint council briefing, this is again a great opportunity for you to hear from your other colleagues in our other member communities and to hear from a panel of experts that we'll have moderated by our president and CEO, Kimberly Schlichting. As I mentioned before, this was a very active year in the Delaware legislature, and we were tracking 28 pieces of state legislation related to energy and municipal utilities, on top of additional actions taken by the President of the United States, Congress, and PJM, the regional grid operator. All of these things having an impact on energy resources, planning, and costs. So we will be, in addition to that discussion that evening, we'll be showcasing our members that have received national awards and designations, of which Lewes is one of them. We are very happy and proud that we were able to assist Lewes BPW in achieving its Smart Energy Provider designation. So at that evening, you'll get a chance to be recognized as receiving that designation. In addition to that, we will be having crew members from the city of Newark and the city of Dover present, as they served earlier this year to assist the Light Up Navajo project. As a reminder to the board, Light Up Navajo is an effort for that tribal community that does not have access to electricity. They have resources that are so limited out there that they just cannot bring service to everybody in the territory. So they do require, and I say the word require, additional assistance from those people who can send and are willing to send operators out to assist. And we did have those operators crew members from the city of Newark and Dover that'll be out, came out.
Let me just expand on it. And this has been going on for how many years now?
Number of years. I believe this was our fourth crew that we were able to send out.
And so all municipals from across the country go out there.
Yes.
And it is a major effort and is greatly appreciated by the tribe.
Yes.
So I can't say enough about this is about brethren utilities helping each other.
Mm-hmm. And to give you a matter of scale, these linemen wake up, they travel 2, 3, 4 hours to just start their day. And then they'll work a 12, 16-hour day, and then they travel back. That's the level of commitment that it takes for those people to be in place, because that's how remote some of these communities are. And so these people should be absolutely commended. Personal opinion for me.
One of our linemen participated a couple years ago. Gary did. Mm-hmm.
I wondered whether we had sufficient linemen to be able to participate.
He participated when he was working for another municipality,
Oh.
but I still like to brag on him. He took the time and he volunteered, so.
Yes. These are exceptional human beings
Yes.
for taking the time, put the effort out there to do that. And as a thank you for that, we'll have the general manager from the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority will be there to talk more holistically about the effort and the community that he is in charge of. So with that, we had invitations. They had been sent out and then have been received. So we're very happy that you do have them, and we look forward to having you attend. And with that, any questions other than that? It was just a invitation to just coming here to present that invitation.
Great, thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
General discussion on pump station resiliency study.
And Tom, I don't know if Cam Lewis is still here. Oh, great. So we have, can we entertain a motion to move Roosevelt Landing up?
Sure.
They're here
And
specifically for
is-
that.
Okay, we have a motion to move item 14 up to where we are now.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so, open forum, general discussion on Roosevelt Landing developers assessment.
The agreement.
Agreement, I'm sorry.
I'll take that one, Tom. As I mentioned, Mr. Lewis is here. He's one of the principals of the developer. He's here in the event there are any questions from the board. This is the board's standard development agreement. It still has to be approved by City Council. I am not certain whether Alex has had an opportunity to incorporate his changes. So my recommendation, if the board would like to move forward, is to approve conditioned on the City Council approving with the city solicitor's comments.
We
All right,
move to
so, just so Richard's up
14.
to speed, we're doing item 14, Roosevelt Landing.
And again, if there are any questions, the developer's representative is here, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's the standard agreement, so.
Yeah.
It is. I will say, I mean, there
Is
were minimal changes to the form agreement. This was actually one of the easier reviews, as there were minimal changes.
And for those that are unaware, it's an 8-lot subdivision out off of Pilot Town Road, where the old dairy market used to be. Mayor and council approved the final plan with conditions at their July 14th meeting. So they've received final site plan or subdivision approval from
And
them.
everyone's getting a free quart of eggnog at Christmas. Is that correct?
You have to go to Millsboro for that.
Everyone gets a free quart of eggnog at Christmas.
I can give you some crates.
So are there any issues here for BPW? I mean, I know the city's had public comment and how high is the road and it's sloped like this, but do we have any issues here?
No, and just so what this agreement is the developer is required to submit BPW improvement plans. These are the utility construction plans. They have to be reviewed and approved by the BPW, constructed per BPW's specifications, reimbursements for reviews, and all of that. That's what this covers. This does not cover approval of the development or any of that, which the plan's already been approved. But this is purely this agreement pertaining to construction of the utility infrastructure.
So we just needed a motion to approve
Correct.
the Roosevelt Landing
Development.
residential development agreement as written and modified, subject to the city's
City Council's approval.
City
with the
Council's
city
approval.
solicitor's comments, yes.
By title only?
No, this is just
No,
an
it's not a
item, so you
resolution.
can say so moved to.
So moved.
Wait a second.
Second.
All
I have
in-
a question.
Discussion, yep.
Yes. I was pleased to see, and I'm hoping it's not a typo, that on page 8, 3.1D, it talks about pervious asphalt street course. And I think the developers, that's good news.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Barbara. So,
Okay.
so that is the city improvement section. So that is what
right.
we need the city solicitor to, and so that may or may not change, but it is subject to city council. The BPW is all other aspects, but you can certainly put your preferences on the record.
Yeah, there was concern about stormwater runoff from that. So it's good move.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 401.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All right, so now we're going back to
Number 10.
10.
Yeah. 10, open forum general discussion on pump station resiliency study.
Basically, all this is as a continuation of a conversation we've been having for the pump station resiliency study. At the last meeting, there was some, GMB presented some possible designs for some of the options for our pump stations. I think they have some additional sketches, markups for some of the designs, and I think one of our members have some additional questions on some of the proposals that were presented.
So I'm going to pass this out. This is, I don't know if I'm being captured by the mic, so it's a 3D rendering that we've done of the two different options.
Just turn it off.
So I assume this mic is tied into,
That one is.
that one is tied in.
So what I've given you guys is a 3D rendering of the two different options we had talked about last meeting. They're just two different perspectives, so it's the same image but two different perspectives. And I'll say this is specific to Hornkill Avenue Pump Station. I know we had been talking about Pump Station 5. Hornkill is the one that's more imminently going to be constructed. So this focuses solely on Hornkill.
But weren't we talking about choosing 2 or 3 designs so there was uniformity on the designs across the system?
So what was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, what was discussed, I think, was going with either the floating dock option or the elevated platform option and selecting which one we thought would be best based on site conditions and site conditions and any other things that kind of present themselves.
That's my memory. We had essentially 2 from last time, and I think what you're saying is, okay, at Hornkill it would look like one of these drawings.
Okay, so the middle, the
Correct.
that's what I was
correct.
getting confused at.
Apologies on that.
All right.
So I'll just note, we superimposed, or we drew these up in 3D form. I added some information on there on the critical elevation versus the ground elevation versus the height of the platform from the platform to the roof and the height of the panel to the platform. And then as I was sitting here, I thought maybe we should add some notes on what the actual elevation is from the ground to the critical elevation and then from the top of the platform to the ground, just to give a sense of magnitude of elevation off the ground.
The other elevation that would be nice to get then is from the ground to the peak.
Gotcha. Understood.
And that's what, about 3 feet above the bottom?
Probably plus or minus. So these, I'll note that this, it's still all in conceptual phase, so that the details haven't quite been worked out.
So that would make the maximum height,
For Hornkill. About 15 feet.
I'm still a little confused, Ben. So this picture over here, it's floating because it's floating.
Correct.
And the middle picture is, it's not floating, it's sunk back into the ground, traffic going by.
Correct.
And this one is,
The elevated platform. So there was 2 options
okay,
there.
so,
So
so
the
these
middle
2 are the are the floating
Correct.
version, and this is the
Yeah,
non-floating.
We wanted to give you an idea of what it would look like in the middle picture is every day, no flood,
Yeah.
The right-hand picture is what it would look like at the top elevation of the flood that we're planning on at this moment.
So we're talking about 13 feet to the peak.
No,
Higher than that, yeah.
no, 6.75 plus 6.6 plus
Oh,
3.
look, this one here, I'm looking at
So it's
6.75 minus 3 feet plus.
Oh, right, okay.
yeah, so 6.75 is the
they
ground
don't-
elevation. So that's theoretically that's 0. So it's 6.6 feet to the roof line, and then there's an approximate maybe 3 plus or minus feet to the peak.
Right. And so if I take the critical elevation, and that is 11.64, subtract out the 3 feet, that's 8.64. And then add in the 6 and the 3, that's 9.
When it's sitting on the ground, it's probably going to be like 9 feet off the ground. The peak is probably 9
Correct.
feet. Then if you if it goes up 5 feet, you're going to be 14 feet in the air once it's up.
Actually,
at
that's
the
true
critical level.
because, so it's the lower height one in normal non-flood
Correct.
situation,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
probably the more critical position because that's when everyone's going to see it. If it's flooded out,
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
so,
Yeah.
okay, just trying to think of how to compare. So actually, the floating one, which I have great reservations over, is a lower profile than the other one.
Correct.
During normal
During normal
Normal
conditions.
operations.
Correct.
Yes.
But it's got all the risks associated with binding and twisting and everything else.
Correct.
Debris.
There's risks and positives and negatives to each option.
And we covered them last time.
Yes.
What's the reason for the, I don't know, the decorative roof or the, on top of the,
Oh, it's the Freud cover
for what?
for the control panels.
They're not covered now.
Yeah, they're inside,
Here, there's Hornkill. It's not covered. And there's no. I'm trying to look at this from a financial standpoint, as well as what the impact of adding this decorative roof. I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
It was a brilliant transmutation of the lighthouse into something, but I think it is unnecessary and more costly than it needs to be if many of the equipment panels can be or are waterproof now and don't need coverage.
Yeah.
And in the critical elevation, you don't need a platform to be erected because it's not meant to be serviced at the critical elevation. You're only looking to, given what was stipulated at the critical elevation, the electrical panel, the bottom of it, is to be set at that elevation. It's not meant to be serviced at that point.
I agree with you on one point, and I don't agree on the other point. The first one is, yeah, because that roof only prevents gentle, soft rain. If it's a driving rainstorm, that roof isn't going to do anything for the panels. So I agree with you there. It's really not functional. But the platform, I think, is critical because otherwise, the only way of getting to the control panel is with ladders off the ground. And that's not safe in a flooded condition.
But it's not meant, I mean, the stipulation was that it was not meant to be an operational situation. It was just to get the bottom of the panels, the electrical panels, above that elevation just for that short period of time until
The floods go
the
away.
flood go away.
So, Robin, what's your thoughts on that? Because I think if it's a 1 foot flood, it's still gonna be elevated, and you still might need to get access to it.
There's probably an opportunity if it's not the major flood where it needs to be at the critical level, it could be leveled at a point maybe that's 1.5 feet off the ground,
Right.
that you can still access it for operations.
Yeah, the floating panel, the floating idea is brilliant. If you can get the buoyancy to lift whatever the weight is at that particular station. As it turns out, the Hornkill bottom of the electric is currently at the base flood elevation. So it's already at the minimum, and all it would need to be is raised 4.5 feet, more or less, to get above the critical elevation.
I think what Ben is alluding to in this Hornkill is there's going to have to be a new pump station put down at the other end to serve those new properties.
Ah, okay.
So that's, I think this is what the illustration is meant to.
Oh, okay.
Correct, yes.
So the old one that goes away?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
We were hoping that it would work where that could all be gravity system, but it's just not feasible. So there's going to have to be a pump station out there. And to cover all the new 11 homes that are being annexed in, the pump station is going to have to move.
Makes sense.
Well, I think sort of what Tom said, you don't need a hat on top of it necessarily, and a little better disguise. But, you know, the one with the walkway around it looks like a jungle gym to a 14-year-old. And
Electrify the railings. Now
Or
that you
what?
electrify the railings.
okay. So I think there's some design things, but I appreciate, you know, this could be disguised as, you know, something, a lighthouse or some other thing that we think fits in. But I think that's one of those two is the general operation. If you're only going up 4 feet, you might as well just build it once and not complicate it. If you're going up, you know, 8 or 10 feet, maybe that's got to be a floater. But
Is the size of the base determined by what's below ground, the wet well or whatever?
No,
No?
both are they're independent of each other.
Independent. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't need a base that big.
So the base, are we talking on the floating? or
Actually,
both?
on both of them.
So I'll say on the elevated platform, the base size is going to be dictated by a couple things. The main thing is electrical clearances. You got to have so far, and I believe it's 3 feet away from the panels to be able to work safely to meet electrical code. That's the
okay.
main thing on the electrical or the elevated storage platform. On the floating platform, we've got to have enough buoyancy force to be able to lift up the weight of the equipment and the dock and whatever else is incorporated with that. So the more things we have on that platform, the more weight and the bigger the buoyancy, so the bigger the profile, but the dimensions of that
Okay.
dock are.
So what would be the materials of construction of the dock?
believing it would be probably an aluminum style structure for the dock. On the elevated platform, our structural engineer has proposed a concrete piling. Concrete, that main support is concrete with a concrete platform, and then metal railing. So the whole structure on that side would be, the main part of the structure is concrete there, and then aluminum on the dock.
Ben, to the question about the floating dock, is there any opportunity, is it just a metal, say aluminum frame only, or is there some sort of float device?
There'll be a float, for lack of a better word, a float device underneath.
Okay.
So there's going to be an aluminum frame with
Pontoons. Think pontoons.
Yes. Correct.
So it's not a sealed canister that you're counting on for buoyancy. It's not a ship.
Correct.
It's going to be some sort of.
But it's a concept of a ship,
Yeah.
of
Right, but it's
water displacement.
right, but it's not like you have to worry about condensation inside of it or
No,
anything else
no.
like that.
Yeah.
It'll be foam or
It'll draw from the concepts of a floating dock as we see it out
Yeah.
on the canal today.
Okay.
I initially liked the idea of the lighthouse thing, but if we can be confident about designing the floating one, I think it probably makes.
I still have great reservations about the floating one. I just think of all of the kudos, potential failures. I mean, especially during a flood. I mean, debris, everything else binding up.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Well, it won't go down. There'll be stuff underneath it.
Well, going down, but I'm not sure it'll go up either.
Yeah, if stuff.
Well, I mean, I think that's a long way from ahead of where we were before. And, it's probably wrong to ask engineers to design good-looking stuff.
Oh, come on.
But I'm sure there's something that can come out of that.
So the 3 feet clearance on the stationary one from the electrical panels, it's because it's elevated?
No, I think
I
just
thought
in
you said
general.
that's
Yeah,
what you
that's-
need to work on. You have to be.
3 feet high off whatever platform is just being able to work on it as in general conditions.
It's like generally like electrical panels in your house. You have clear space on each side of the panel box for safety and working conditions.
Yeah, but 3 feet is actually low for a panel box in a house and for working on. I mean, you got full racks, it's one thing, but in general, they like to be now 4 feet.
Yeah, I'm talking about clear space. I'm talking about the
In front of?
yes, in
Oh,
front of,
yeah,
yes.
no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I was talking not height.
I was talking-
Why does this have to, I
Yeah.
asked when you were gone, why
Oh.
does this have to be so wide?
Okay.
Because it doesn't really look like a lighthouse when it sticks out that far.
Yeah,
Right.
and absolutely. And I don't know if the National Electrical Code covers this, but that's what the clear space requirement is in front of a panel.
Yeah, and then to the sides and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You can't put boxes and stuff next to your panel box.
I think the railing could be more limited, like a cable railing system.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to go all the way around either. It can be just.
I would say if you have certain height
Yep.
off the ground, then you have to have
Safety
protection.
railing.
Yeah, you do, but it doesn't. If you're going to work on it on this side, you don't have to be
Put the
protected on the
panel
other
wall,
side.
you don't have to put the platform wall around, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it
You
could
put
be
the
a
platform 180 degrees
platform.
But
or whatever.
I'm more concerned about Bob's point about jungle gym kids wanting to climb on it. That's safety issue.
I'm for sort of enclosing it in some kind. I keep saying lighthouse, but you know, some other kind of structure that looks like as much like Lewes as we can make it look like Lewes.
Tom, can I ask a question? Sure. So not about design, Ben, but is the idea that eventually all the pump stations will be designed to a 100-year flood? Like, what's the marker you're using?
So the BPW's Resiliency Committee put together recommendations for design of pump stations and critical elevations of the pump stations. So they look at 4.64 feet above the base flood elevation as what we need to protect the equipment to be.
So this just expand upon the 100-year flood elevation is retrospective, and it hasn't been updated in decades. So but it's the best topological one. So the mitigation committee led by Press, right, Press? Right.
But Barbara and I were on it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but came up with this alternative of using the 100-year base elevation flood and then figuring out what sea level rise subsidence would do. It does not take into account coastal storms because
And we added something for the fact that it was critical infrastructure and, you know.
So it covers not only pump stations, the wastewater treatment plant, and other critical equipment that we have.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we looked at the curves.
Yeah, we did.
We looked at 3 curves that predicted sea level rise, and we took did we take the middle one or the highest one?
The middle one.
Middle
The
one,
intermediate.
that's what I thought.
The intermediate. Yep.
And then we added on to that.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. There was like 2 or 3 different categories that were hit over to get to 4.64.
Yeah, and we were trying to give the engineers and everybody else, okay, this is about where we need to be versus that data. So don't go build another little shack here at the corner. Look forward. And
But that would be a standard across every time BPW?
yeah.
Okay.
That is the standard we're using for electrical, whatever. Anything.
For those within the floodplain.
Yes. Within the flood.
Not everywhere.
No, not everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a good point, because what Richard just pointed out was there are areas that I believe are subject to flooding that are not in the floodplain because they're isolated. So you might have a 13-foot elevation surrounding them, but that area is still a catchment basin. And if it gets flooded, it doesn't have any connection to the drain. But, we figured we had to bite at something.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was just wondering what the standard was. And actually, the UD study that you referenced earlier in the meeting, they are going to provide updated flood maps because we're not going to get them from FEMA for a long time. So that's actually a benefit within less than 2 years. We actually will have something else to model against.
And the other thing, just to reemphasize, is that the modeling was done, or the critical elevation, the year that was chosen was 2050, which is getting pretty darn close.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like
But,
the future anymore.
we felt going out too much further than that, you really do, the crystal ball gets really, really cloudy. It's only just murky now.
Thank you.
What about thinking of raising the 16 identified pump stations to the base flood elevation criteria of the lowest electrical boxes are at that elevation or a little bit higher. Fixing them there and figuring out how to, in a storm event where you want to get them higher, raising them up to 4.5 feet, that critical elevation, on the presumption that at least you did a starting point. And you see over time, is it really happening as we thought? And in any event, the criteria seem to be you raise it, and then only when the flood is, but you're protecting it so that it can then come back down to that base flood elevation.
Well, if you remember, that was
different.
my brilliant idea, which
Oh, disconnect.
Well, I wasn't.
Quick disconnect.
disconnects
Well,
it.
yeah, but that.
That was
But
different.
this would require festooning the cable so that you had room to raise it.
You feed from above.
Yeah, but still, it require festoon. I mean, you have to be able to, dress the cables.
Piece of cake.
Not if there's
What could go wrong?
not that there's nothing above it.
I mean, I guess, are you suggesting something that would be like winched up, or like how? I guess where I struggle with that idea is how does it get elevated up? When it needs to be. That
How
doesn't
heavy
require-
is the platform that you're lifting up?
Well, not the platform. You mean the control panels.
Okay, the control panels.
I mean, I'll say it varies per station depending on the specific equipment.
500
there.
pounds?
It could be up to 500 pounds, plus or minus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, with a watertight enclosure, those are pretty hefty. Just a panel without anything in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you see these three-wheeled forklifts that deliver material from building materials.
They deliver sheetrock into
Yeah.
third floor windows.
Right. And use wheel, raise it, wait for the flood to take place, and let it come back down. Put in chocks to hold it to whatever place you want it. You're
Well,
feeding it from above.
Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that is a workable solution. It requires a lot of manpower from the board, and knowing when, similar to the other options is like knowing when we're going to make this happen, because that's not something you can just snap your fingers and do.
Right, but when you, in any event, if you're raising it or constructing it to the most critical, the 4.5 above bud, then you're setting it way up, and you now have absolutely created a reason for more maintenance of climbing up a ladder, the platform that goes out and the railings and everything from day one, which makes no sense if in the end, you know what, the floods don't come. And 4.5 feet of elevation change isn't that magical
So
that something couldn't be explored.
if I can make a suggestion, I'm not comfortable doing this without press.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe we should investigate this and put it on the agenda for next month. And I really would like press's input as, the other nerd in the room. Because we have to have at least 3 nerds.
I'll tell
And
you,
our legal
Tom,
counsel. And our legal counsel.
I kind of agree with you, but maybe it ought to be a workshop, so we're not quite, so we can draw
I
and
think
point
first
and
we want to have.
I'm not disagreeing it, but there probably needs a little bit of workshop to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because this is going to require public acceptance. No, I
No,
fully
I'm
agree.
not talking about, you know, I think you need a little more free-flowing discussion
Yes.
than,
Well, but
I think we've made progress. I just think,
I'm not sure what
What-
between a public workshop and, a special meeting we could have.
Just the format in a public workshop allows much more back and forth.
and maybe
With the
somebody
public.
from the audience would have a
With
great
your-
idea.
with you guys
with yourself.
here,
Our
like-
huge public.
Yeah, but even like at our public workshop, our council did lots of work because it was back and forth. Because it's a more relaxed format.
I
But
guess
that
I'm
would
not-
just lead to a discussion and not a motion to move forwards.
Yeah, it's not actionable.
That's
I mean,
the-
we could take
yeah.
action off of it. I'm not.
At a later, yeah, at a.
I'm not sure I see what the title change does. I mean, we tend to have free, open discussions.
You do, you
We
kind of
can't-
have a hybrid that you're operating. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that in a workshop model that's not actionable, you could also bring in lots of other subject matter experts. We're gonna have some combined activities on resiliency, so you're bringing lots of people together.
Yeah,
That format encourages that.
So you have two components. From the legal component, from the FOIA component, it doesn't matter. The meeting is the meeting. From how you operate the meeting and how you allow the discussion, there can be a distinction if you structure it that way. And so, for example, this is a more formal meeting. This is where you have multiple items on the agenda. And so it often lends itself to a more kind of formalized approach. Whereas a workshop, if you said, no, we're going to roll up our sleeves and work on this item, it can generate different discussion. But from the legal formalities, there's no difference between the two.
So, I'm just sensitive to everyone's time also. And so why don't we see what's on the agenda for next month? And if we need to, because we've got several executive sessions planned also, and we've got the UDEL thing. Well, that's actually in September.
Ben, what is this pushing it back a month going to do for you as part of the study? Do you
Good
have any
point.
deadlines you have to meet?
Yes, so by the current, what's currently approved, the pump station resiliency study needs to be completed by October, which includes the design of pump station 5. The side quest of that is Hornkill. Hornkill's currently in design and also, needs to have some direction on what direction to go there as well. Which, pushing that off another month will impact both of those schedules.
See, I'm not uncomfortable with using the same information, discussion, and action, because there are many things that we don't take action on because we need more information. But it gives us at least the option of doing that. I think this, the way this,
Keep it in a meeting format, not a workshop.
Which is fine. I mean, so right. I mean, the key is that if you intend something to be actionable, you would have to notice it as actionable.
right.
And so you can certainly do that. So if the suggestion is to schedule a special meeting, workshop, you would put on the agenda, as discussion, information discussion, action. So it is on the public's on notice. There could be action on that. You can certainly do that. Yes.
Yeah, and our August meeting is the 27th. All right, let's discuss that. Let's discuss that with offline. And but I'm not comfortable with doing anything tonight. Everyone else agree? Other than the input.
I'm just worried about the timing. I would like to
that's
be able
what-
to give GMB more direction.
Well, I tell you what, when Press gets back on Sunday night, I'll call him up and tell him why hasn't he responded? And then I'll send an email.
I especially like the guys with the vests and the bowler hat.
I was going to ask who's that. Who's that in the picture?
I don't know if our structural engineer modeled it after himself or.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ben, I would say keep going, and we might get another discussion, but I'd do one of each in some detail for Hornkill, and we get to talk about it one more time or something.
And
Yeah,
you're okay with that, Bob? Because you were the ones who, I'm sorry for Bob.
I keep
You were the
saying,
ones who had questions.
make it look better, because
Yeah.
Well-
I think it could look a lot better.
And
you
I
know?
think the ladder should
I
be
mean-
movable,
Okay.
so it's not
Yeah.
in place all the time.
Clearly, the only place to put
Yes.
this is in the middle of a traffic circle.
Are you
I'd
su-
like the base to, if the base to be the same height as or the same width as the platform on the
For the elevated.
stationary, the
The
elevated
two.
one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have different constraints with the elevated platform being elevated and the railing.
Uh-huh.
We tried to minimize the total platform size, but you still got to have the clearances there. With the floating platform, it's a little bit easier to make that skinnier, but still wide enough to have your clearances there on that option. So it's
Okay, so what if you try to give us two little better, more defined, and we'll argue about how we make it look like a lighthouse?
Yeah.
So, you don't have on the dimensions here the width of the platform.
No.
There's no elevation drawing, or there's elevation. There's no footprint.
for the elevated platform, or I guess for both.
The elevated.
Well, for the elevated, that's the one.
So in our work that we presented last meeting, the widths of that platform are 7 foot wide by 8 foot 7 inches long.
So it's not a circle.
It's not a circle. Currently it's not a circle.
And if it were a circle, it would have to be 7 feet or 8 feet.
It would need to be 8 feet.
8 feet.
8 foot 7.
And
in
that would be a
diameter.
massive base.
Except if you did this just a segment, so that it got us the 3 foot workaround.
It depends on how the equipment gets mounted on the structure. Like there's only so much, if we have a circular pile, there's only so much real estate to mount boxes,
That's true.
so they
You
don't
got a two-sided.
conflict.
Yeah. Okay.
How much equipment? Are the two, 5 and whichever, Hornkill, is it the same quantity of equipment? It's not infinite. Do we have, what is the equipment that is going in this box?
So it's I'll say it's dependent on the specific station and the specific pumps that are there. So it's not, I can't give you something that applies to every single station.
Okay.
But there's a control panel.
Right. And I mean, at Hornkill, the existing one, it looks like just 2 panels.
Correct.
Okay. And in the new Hornkill, it'll be
It'll probably
2,
be
but maybe a little bigger? Or
approximately the same. We haven't got, I don't have that.
is there a blower involved in any of these?
In Hornkill, no, but in other stations, potentially, yes.
5?
I'm trying to remember if 5 has a blower or not. Other stations like 5 have a blower, but I don't believe 5 has a blower.
I
So
know
it's-
how-
Look
I
like
know
there's
how
room
Can the
for
equipment be arranged so that it's only on one side, let's say, if the platform becomes an issue, just to minimize how much access is?
I mean, you could potentially mount a board. We'd have to figure out how to do it, but mount a board on that circular pile so that way it's all accessed.
How about a rectangular pile?
I guess you could potentially do a rectangular pile, yeah,
Okay.
as well. What we were proposing, or what our structural engineer was proposing, was more of a sonotube
Right.
circular type pile, but I think anything can be done.
Yeah, you do a concrete circular pile too.
Yep.
I'm not sure how any of the panels going forward in these circumstances, could we have fans in them, or fans penetrating the compartment? They can have fans on the board to circulate air in them, but how do you make a watertight enclosure with a fan?
I think Mr. Nichols was talking about a blower to ventilate the wet well.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The mayor
I
has
thought
sort
you-
of said to me, why don't you get an architect or somebody like that? I mean, and Richard is making the point that it's not all that much stuff, okay?
Yeah.
It is a problem to have it up there, but if you have an architect, you know, he might decide that it needs to look like a sail or a,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, a welcome sign or
Yeah.
something like that.
All right, so-
And you concentrate on, we got to get 750 pounds of this stuff up there and dry.
Okay, so Ben, you have enough, I mean, I know this is not clear, but why should anything we do be clear? No, seriously, do you have enough information to go forward to the next step and then for a discussion with, when press is back?
I guess my question would be, you know, to bring in an architect and give a, are we just having free, I don't want to say free reign, but free artistic reign to do what
I
we
don't
please,
know,
or
but
I was just researching, I'm not on my phone, and there are people that do pretty pump stations. They really do it, it's an industry. So they take the functionality of the engineer, and then they do an architect camouflage, that's all it is.
So it's under,
The architect cannot dictate anything on the functionality, but
So it's
they're hiding it.
pretty
make it
pump
look like a
stations
camel
dot
or
net.
a,
They're really called pretty pump stations. They don't look very pretty, but.
Yeah, they are.
But they're prettier than this.
we started with some pictures of what other cities had done. And I think we're at the limit of, no offense to my fellow board members, our creativity.
Well, you
So-
didn't like any of mine, like
That's right, I didn't.
sky mollies.
And you didn't like my,
air bolts.
but this has got to be up this high to meet the critical elevation, and it could float up there or it could not float up there, and
I think
then
we,
somebody to disguise it as, oh, that's nice.
I think we probably have gone as far as we can with this, so.
I think I'm good. I'll work with Robin to complete the direction forward.
Okay.
I think I just know one thing for sure, don't put a roof on it.
That's what I've heard.
Oh.
Unless it's a
Then
pretty roof.
No, I
Yeah.
have no roof.
Unless the wires have to come up and over to the top, like
Okay.
Richard said.
All right, moving on.
Tom, I'm sorry, I just want to say one more thing, which is, if you're going to start doing this appropriately in all the flood areas, it is going to start to look, it's going to be part of the look in the city,
Yeah.
just like houses that are raised. So I wasn't being casual in my comment about an architect.
Oh, no.
You're going to have more than one of these.
Yes.
So let's start looking at making them as pleasing. Obviously, functionality is critical, but pleasing because we're going to start have citizens reacting. So the more we can come out of the gate with a functionally working, attractive, whatever that means.
I
the easier
agree.
it's gonna be to
So,
accept.
Ben, if you can do the research on pretty pump stations.
And don't put any in the historic district.
And don't say that the mayor wants pretty pump stations, okay?
Okay, moving on. So I already covered the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
So the
Mariners Retreat.
Mariners Retreat.
It can be removed, still some outstanding items.
Okay, now we're talking. We already did 13, we did 14, BPW electrical tariffs and House Bill 62. Sharon?
Yep, so recently Delaware passed the House Bill 62. It pertained to the disconnections of electric service. For the most part, we were already doing these requirements. We are just now formalizing it and adding it to the electric tariff. Some of the noted changes that we actually were already following is shut-off hours are limited between 8 and 4. No disconnections Friday through Monday, which we already do. We cannot disconnect December 21st through January 1st. No cutoffs less than 35 degrees Fahrenheit or above 90 degrees. We also have to provide a 14-day letter and multiple contact attempts. And then the last one is the illness protection. There is a 120-day hold if they provide a physician's note that they need that electric. And again, we already do all these things. We're just formalizing it, putting it in the electric tariff.
So do I have a motion to read the resolution by title only?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Mr. President, members of the board, resolution number 20.
Let the record show that Barbara was not here.
Yep. Resolution number 25-009, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Board of Public Works of the City of Lewis amending its compilation of policies regarding disconnection of electric service. Mr. President, resolution number 25-009 has been read by title only and placed before the board for its consideration and adoption.
I would like to wait until Barbara gets back to take the vote.
Certainly. And if I can use this opportunity just to flag a couple more quick things. One, if you recall, the board does have a procedure for the adoption of revisions to your policy. That procedure allows an exemption that doesn't require you to go through the public comment period, posting it for public comment and whatnot, in certain exceptions. If you look at the last whereas clause in the draft resolution, we are submitting that this qualifies for an exception to not have to go through that policy procedure, and the rationale and reason for that is you don't have a choice. The
state law.
The state is saying you have to adopt it, so you have to do what the state is telling you to do. The other part, there's some highlighted text in the version that was posted. The state did require, or does require, there to be a dispute resolution process. And that's what we had put in at 5.6E. And essentially that is that anybody who wants to present a dispute sends a letter to the general manager, gets placed on the board's next meeting agenda. That individual can come forward to the board, make their case to the board, and the board can resolve any concerns that way. So we included that in 5.6E. Otherwise, it is pretty much almost verbatim of what the state is requiring us to say.
So we read it by resolution title only. So now I held the vote. So now we're going to vote on it.
What
All right.
number is it?
9.
Oh,
It's
okay.
actually written.
Yeah. Oh, so
It's
there was
typed.
Whoa. Okay.
All right. So do I have a motion to approve the resolution as written, resolution number 25-009?
So moved.
Second.
Third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Open forum and just general discussion on Cape Coves water and sewer extension. Robin and GMB.
Just a little bit of brief history before Ben comes back up and explains the letter they submitted. This is Cape Cove. It's a manufactured home park out on New Road, 13 units that's outside the city limits. Back in 23, maybe a little earlier, they requested to, they have a private well and septic. They're having issues with their septic. Not as bad as Dunham and Smith, but they are having it pumped out more regularly now. Requested to be hooked up to our system. We approved that request. Received a CPCN app for the water and sewer for, I think we had sewer already, the water back in 23. Received funding, as Kim noted in her report. It's grant funding, forgiveness to the park. Got the funding in 23 from DHSS and DEMEC. The total amount of the funding was $1.248 million, give or take. GMB did some designs. Had the bid opening on July 11th of 25. and GMB has submitted a letter to that they can go over about awarding the bid to the approved contractor.
And I'm sorry, Robin, you said how many units are in this complex?
13.
13.
13, yeah.
Identify yourself. Who are you?
Ben Hearn with GMB. So, as Robin alluded to, we opened bids for this project on July 11th. We received bids on this project from 4 contractors, Georgia Lynch, Adel, AP Kroll, and Teal Construction. The lowest responsible total base bid for Schedule A and B was received from Teal Construction in the amount of $1,085,842. I'll note too, because I included it in the letter, I think it's important to note when we bid this project, we bid out with Schedule A and Schedule B as the base bid, which all that's those 2 schedules serve Capes Cove. Schedule C was bid out to serve the Hertrick Collision Auto Body Shop right next door. Through the process of this project, they came to the board. I don't know if they came to the board or whether it was they were reached out to.
Actually, it was the previous owner, which was Richard Perez. He had Lewes Auto Body, I think the name of the company was. He's the one that actually came to the board and asked if there was a possibility that he could connect. He has a gigantic septic system, which is it's not a problem. It's working fine. He's limited space with that huge septic system on his property. He wanted to get rid of it. So he asked if he could be part of the project. We had did the same thing, CPCN application, went through the process, got approved for it. Figured it would be best to try to include this possibly in the project. The problem with that is the forgiveness through the state was for the Capes Cove project and not for the Lewes Auto Body or Hertrick property. So that's why we had to kind of separate that out.
But we're going to cover.
Potentially, if the board wants to fund a potential future project that was bid on as part of this. The actual bid itself for the funding is for the A and B, as Ben said. So we can talk about a little bit more about the Schedule C here in a little bit, maybe after we go farther, maybe.
I'll just highlight a couple more things. So as part of that discussion with Mr. Perez back in the day, the board, Austin, felt we should procure an easement across the front of their property. As part of, or I guess the idea behind that was to, as Robin alluded to potentially serve future development in the vacant farm parcels next door. So part of what we did with Schedule C was provide water and sewer service all the way across the front of that parcel to be able to serve those that farm field in the future, have that connection point there available, for that connection. I think as part of the agreement for that easement, I believe it was understood or based on discussion with Austin and Robin that a point to connect for that property was expected. How we bid that project out again was going the full way across. Going all the way across is not necessary, all the way across the frontage of the property. Going all the way across is not necessary to provide them service. So, you could meet the needs of that easement without serving the future, having a connection point for that future developable parcel.
Ben, I'm confused.
Thank you, Barbara.
This is the confusing part of it.
It is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My confusion is we're talking about the Capes Cove, we're talking about Hetrick, and then we're talking about another parcel?
So the other parcel is just out there in the future as a future developable parcel that the board would be potentially interested to serve. They have the sewer CPCN for that area already. They don't have, you guys don't have the water CPCN.
Where is it? I
It's
mean,
it's
if
the
you look
old
at the
farm.
collision center, or you
It's
look,
to the left. If you're looking at the collision center, it's to the left. It's closer to the town side. There's a big farm field there.
so Cape Cove is over here,
Capes Cove,
then the collision center,
Yep.
and then this is some more land.
correct.
So you could run by there and pick up the collision center and do Cape Cove, and that'd be like engineering efficient, regardless, but expensive.
Correct.
And the water lines would come from
Tower Hill.
Yes.
Tower Hill.
Yes.
Tower Hill.
And you have a bid for 1085, is that correct?
So that consists of only Schedule A and B. That's the base bid to serve Capes Cove.
Okay.
Schedule C, which was bid.
And we have money for that?
We have money.
That is a funded project that Robin alluded to before, which complicates a little bit too. We've had to submit a supplemental funding request to fund the full amount of that project.
Okay. But we don't have money for the collision center or this other thing?
Correct. No, we do not have any state funding. We would, if we did it, it would come out of our own pocket.
Yeah. I
Or we would try to go for funding for that. But it can't be part of this because of the forgiveness portion for Capes Cove.
Okay, and if we did Cape Cove for $1,085,000 and then just hooked up the collision center, how much would that be?
The bid was $212,000 from Teal.
For
Just to hook up that?
Just to do that section in front of Hertrick, the bid for Schedule C was $212,000 and change from Teal.
to complete the full extension
Yeah.
across their entire frontage.
Correct.
Okay, but if we just reached out to touch them,
If we reach out into their property, say 20 feet, we would have to come up with a price that could be added. You know, Teal, while they were out there doing this project, we could see what they could get us a price to extend enough on their property, which is still in the easement.
but that wouldn't be 212, that might be,
It would be less,
Yeah,
for sure.
correct, because it would only be, say, 20 feet.
okay,
Right,
so it might
but-
be $20,000.
Right, but
Correct.
we wouldn't be getting any fees then from them for that. Because if we only reached out to them, I think we need a commitment from Hertrick to connect.
They did, again, that's the reason I think they gave us the easement was their, again, we don't have a written commitment to say yet they're definitely going to connect. But that's a conversation with the gentleman who Austin had been dealing with to say if they're still interested, and that put that on the table to say there's an option if we want to move forward with extending that.
Right.
Now, why wouldn't they pay for that? Like the guy on New Road is going to pay for water and sewer.
I think during conversations, and again, I wasn't involved in the conversation that Austin had with the owner of Hertrick, or the principal for, I think there was some sort of agreement as allowing us the right for that easement, that the hookup would be made available to them.
It's a quid pro quo.
Well, but I think we need to review the easement. So it's been a while, I think, for that one, because I vaguely remember this, and I remember, what was the year on that? I think we're talking like,
It was recorded 10/18/24.
yeah.
So it was just
it's-
recorded recently, or a year, less
I
than
think
a
we
year.
have to review the easement, because it's I don't recall it that way, and I think we need to be clear in terms of what the expectation is, because there's a difference between if the BPW has a project coming through, you grant the easement and then you make the connection. That's a different scenario from the BPW not having a project come through, and then the BPW is going to create a project for, and I don't recall that being the situation. So I do think that we need to review that easement and understand kind of what was the understanding in order to make an informed decision on that piece of it.
So
I'm
can
not
we,
sure if it's just a, I
can
think
we-
there was a conversation that Austin had with the gentleman.
Yeah, and well, then I think, but whatever was paper,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah.
So can we take action on the Cape Cove
Yes.
portion and then put this off till next month when
Yes.
you've had a chance?
Yeah, that's something that doesn't have to be done, it's just another
Okay,
part of this project that,
but I think Barbara said it, and I think, you know, stretching over there 20 feet is probably a good idea for the good of septic and so on, but I think they ought to pay for it, you know. And I don't personally see much value in going all the way past them with pipe to, you know, serve some future developer.
that may happen or may not happen.
Yeah.
It was just put in there as an option if the board thought it was possible at this time, since the project was right there and they were doing work, instead of mobilizing again for a project.
right.
But understanding
And
there's no commitment from the vacant property owner that they were even thinking about doing anything.
And the way, I'll just say, just to tag along, the way it was structured is you don't have to award Schedule C to do Capes Cove work.
Okay, so do I have a motion to award the contract for Cape Cove's water and sewer extension?
Wait,
One
he's
issue,
trying to
Tom.
say something
Yep.
there.
So do you want me to take it, or do you want
You
to take
got
it?
yeah, you want, we can yeah, but
All right. So
First my bubble.
when the bid was originally bid, when the bid request was posted, the amounts were different. So since then, the cost of the projects, the total cost is in line, but the individual cost is off. I think which water is higher now?
Correct.
Water is higher than it was originally bid. So GMB and Robin and staff have reached out to confirm that there's supplemental funding available. Have you heard back?
I have not heard back, aside from the conversation I had with DEMEC, who's not DHSS,
Right.
but they
Yep.
work
Perfect.
together.
So it's in that conversation with DENREC is that there could be, even if supplemental funding isn't available, there's alternative funding. So the staff is confident that there will be additional funding available. But the recommendation or the motion would be to approve the bid award
Contingent upon.
conditioned on confirming confirming the additional funding is available.
Okay, I'm not gonna repeat that. So, do we have what he said?
discussion? Do you want to do the motion first?
Do the motion
Do the
first.
motion
Second.
first.
So move.
Second.
Now discussion.
Now discussion.
Now, on the question,
If we approve the contract as is, without the,
Appendix C.
pending issue,
Appendix C.
what is the risk?
So there's an important nuance to what you just said, Richard. So you are awarding the bid. The contract is a subsequent step. And so the way that this would work in practice is the board would be awarding the bid conditioned on confirmation of the available funding. And that confirmation would be in place before you sign the contract. The reason why you do this as a condition as opposed to coming back is otherwise you're waiting a month to come back. And so this allows staff to confirm the additional funding before the contract is signed.
Okay, and there's no time pressure to expedite the answer to that question? And the answer may be, no, we're not going to give you additional funding. Now, what happens?
So two,
We approved the motion as you've stipulated with the condition, and it turns out, no, you're not going to get additional funding.
yeah, so in that case.
Now what happens?
Now it has to come back to the board. So if you don't have the additional funding available, then they would have to come back to the board with an alternative option
We couldn't
to
just.
cover the gap.
And the gap is just the switch in, I don't know, the water and the sewer
Yeah, well,
funding, because they're coming from two different sources?
correct. That's correct. And just to make this even more complicated for everyone, so I think that gap right now, the delta is roughly 200,000. $270,000. So there might be an alternative approach that pulls that gap down to 15,000. So you actually on this have a plan A, B, and C. And so that's what the recommendation is if staff can resolve it with the funders through those plans A and B, then they don't have to come back to the board. If they can't, then they have to come back to the board for C, and then you'd have to take action at that point.
Okay, and so one of the options is that time goes by and we're working on finding the money and so on, and it's still can't find the money and so on. Now, contractor comes back and says, well, the prices have raised
Right.
because of inflation or whatever, and our contract price is no longer valid. Does that come into play?
So how long is the bid due?
So
It's cut off.
So they have to hold their bids, and I'm pretty confident it's 90 days. I'm pretty sure it's 90 days. At a minimum, it's 60 days. So there's a window of time there that we have to get that in place.
August and September
Yeah.
is the 60 days, let's say.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right, Richard. I think
Okay.
your time constraint here is timing of project. I'm not concerned about the timing in terms of being able to resolve this with a bid going stale. That's not the risk here in
Okay.
terms of the risk here, and the timing constraint is making sure we get the ducks in a row to give the contractor a green light so the project stays on schedule. So that's why it's the conditioned vote.
But that condition vote doesn't give the contractor any more substantive certainty.
No, but if we get the funding, it'll be quicker.
Correct.
And that,
Okay.
That's right.
I mean, we
That's right.
can't do any more than that, so.
And the contractor will know that we like his bid, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
It really,
Okay.
it just avoid, if tomorrow you get the confirmation that the supplemental funding's available, then you can go forward.
Yeah, easy.
And you
Okay.
don't have to wait for the board to reconvene a meeting. That's the point, so the project stays on schedule.
So between now and next board meeting, regular board meeting, the funding gets put in place by staff and whatever, and then automatically the contract can be signed by BPW and the contractor.
Correct.
Okay,
That's right.
thank you.
Sure.
All right. So that was on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Shut up, press.
Makes sense.
So, agenda items for next meeting. And remember, if you don't have them now, you just need to get them to Sharon before, anytime in the next month.
Well, here's a question for people to think about. We get the Inframark report and we go through it and we see a lot of stuff, okay? That's great. And a lot of it preventive maintenance. Should we be getting something along those lines from the electrical department? Not that necessarily we would have found the issues that happened in the last month, but should we be getting more information? That's just a general question.
I think we lean on Robin for that. I'm not sure bringing Rhett in.
Is that an implication of electric and then the other 3 utilities? So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, water and, yeah.
I think that's our job to drill into.
I understand that, but we're not getting any information. I mean,
Robin, your feelings?
Inframark stands up and says, you know, good morning, and you know, I got the pump stations and we don't have any spares and blah, blah, blah. I don't know Rhett's problems. I don't know.
But I think that's overall, as Tom was saying, that's the overall responsibility of staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want some sort of reports or some reporting on, we needed 5 transformers this month, then we can do that. I think that's just a general operating thing that is done by staff. That's.
if there's anything of concern or just an update, is that something that's easily included in your report?
Yeah, I mean,
but deliberately, you know, here's what has happened, and
Yeah,
we didn't have any storms, so we didn't have any stormwater problems.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's, this is general of we had 5
Or major
water leaks.
expenses,
We had 5
or-
water leaks this month, and, you know, I don't know if that's what the board wants to, if the board wants to get in that, that's fine. We can report
No,
that.
I think what is being asked is if there is any other avenue
I think the big difference is that Inframark is a contractor.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And the other people are
Our
employees who report directly to
Staff.
Yeah, staff. But, you know, as a board member, I am kind of curious about what happens, what the issues are in other departments. I pushed a while ago for Kim to start adding to her monthly reports how much water gets used, you know, because I was curious. What do we need to plan for in the future for water use? Do we have capacity limitations in our aquifers? You know, that sort of issue. So some kind of advanced planning other than when we're looking at capital budgets.
Well, what I would suggest is, and you hit right on that.
Yeah.
It's contractor versus our own employees reporting to staff. Is if you're interested, you can work with Robin or Sharon to set up meetings with departments, not on a monthly basis, but, you know, just to get informed about what's in their minds.
well, that's fine.
I don't want, I'm trying very careful to keep these meetings at a reasonable length of time. And I think if we start having staff reporting out, or not staff, the crews reporting out, it's going to really lengthen the meeting versus taking the initiative. And also, it gets us out of FOIA if we do it on an individual basis.
Well, I mean,
should
Barbara and
say-
I went for a tour of the electrical spaces one day, so we're a little more knowledgeable than we were before that. But I'm just asking, what don't I know?
Well,
Should I know?
I think you should have asked, or you should ask that at a meeting, and we could set it up with Rhett and Emmett for the water and sewer and electric departments. I would just prefer, unless you really have deep concerns, that we not necessarily do it during the board meeting. I mean, our board meetings are going 5 hours now.
Look, we'll talk more about that.
We'll talk
That way, I mean, again, I want to provide whatever the board wants. I mean, again, but a lot of it, like I think it was said, you know, you're talking Inframark is the independent that we're trying to keep tabs on. But yeah, even if it's at some sort of high level, you know, it don't have to be, we fixed a pothole on, you know, on Cedar Street today, or we replaced 5 fire hydrants for the month or whatever. I mean, we can do a.
Can you tell me why the Hudson Road sides are so bad shape? I almost got launched over my handlebar. Okay. Call to the public. Hear ye, hear ye. Call to the press.
I just have one quick question, going all the way back to when you talked about why you're using the wireless mics. And you may have mentioned this last month, but did this hack into the servers affect ratepayers at all? Did it affect any kind of information?
I can't answer that. I'd have to turn that over to the city.
Okay.
It didn't, on our side, it didn't
on your
affect
side.
It did not affect anyone. You know, it was caught early. Josh isolated it, and not after this amount of time. Sorry, you're going to go by whatever name I called it.
Okay.
So it did not affect any of our customers, did not affect any of our systems, electrical, water, wastewater. But I guess what it does show is the vulnerability that we're all under from hacks, and they are increasing over time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. I have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.